Of the Earth Connections has really taken me on a journey through understanding our environment that we have here on Shinnecock and the East End and many of the surrounding areas. Two of the pieces that I have worked on, Unnꝏhamáonk, which is the Mashoon, and Unnōthamáonk, which is the wampum belt that I have in the exhibition, really helped me to express at least my understanding of the Indigenous connection to nature. Unnōthamáonk is a wampum belt, a contemporary wampum belt, as we say, is a living being, and its purpose here is to be a teacher. And Unnōthamáonk in our language, in the Eastern Long Island dialect of Algonquin, means kinship or kindred. And it talks about, if you read the belt, it talks about the connection we have to the earth, being on one road. You know, nature represented by the whale tail, and humankind represented by the person standing there. Unnōthamáonk is a Mashoon, a miniature Mashoon, that is a model of an ocean-faring vessel. Our people had Mashoons that could hold almost 100 people, and we would go out there mainly to harvest whales, but we also did all sorts of fishing. You know, almost every single type of modern fishing was done by our people on Shinnecock. And it's really important for us as island people, as ocean people, for us to maintain our canoe culture, our Mashoon culture here on Shinnecock. And due to resource availability, resource access, it's become increasingly harder for us to maintain a lot of our lifeways, not just our Mashoons, because, you know, it takes a big tree, you know, for us to be able to make these Mashoons. This Mashoon, Unnōthamáonk, its name comes from our word, meaning the leader of ceremonies. It's been distorted into what we know as a powwow today, you know, but it really comes from this part of the world as that term for a leader of ceremonies. And as one of the first Mashoons that is going to maintain and stay within our community, I wanted to really talk about the ceremony of Mashoon making, the ceremony of our connection to the water.
So for my piece, I've created my interpretation of a traditional Salinan balsa canoe. The way in which it helped me connect to the land was by really understanding that I was in relationship to the materials that I was bringing into this project. So our traditional canoes would have been made with tule reed, found off the Central Coast in California. They are a bit thicker, more buoyant, sort of spongy material to create rafts and boats that we would use to navigate the central waterways. Living on the East Coast now, we do not have tule reeds out here. So for me, this was a very important and special way to connect with my ancestors. For my canoe, I wanted to give it the name Pogi, which was the nickname of my grandmother, Mary Banks, who is one of my greatest inspirations, and somebody who I look up to, love very much, and who taught me who I was and where we came from. She passed away in 2010, and I would absolutely consider her the matriarch of our family. And so when I work on projects like these, or when I speak to my daughter's class, I think of my grandma Pogi, and I hope that by continuing to learn about my culture, my heritage, my people, and by teaching my daughter this, and by reminding people that the Salinan tribe is still here, that I make her proud, and that she hears me and she feels honored.
In my piece, I'm representing the people from the Pacific Coast, especially the Charrera people, one of the most sonically attuned cultures in Turtle Island. They created the water whistle, which is an hydraulic instrument that is played by the water being the pressure of the water pushing into the whistle. And also they created one of the earliest female anthropomorphic flutes in the world. The name of my piece is a 5-point water whistle. The shape is based on looking from a human perspective down into a turtle, into a land turtle. And the piece has different complex harmonics in it. So when I play it, you can hear different whistles playing at different times. And this piece is the frequency that it sounds. It is the frequency of bird calls and some cicadas. And so it's a combination of all these birds and also animals that sing at nighttime. And that is also something that I wanted to call into attention. Is also that connection that we have with the singing voice of more than humans. We walk and the ruffle of the leaves, it makes a sound. So I think that there's a message there. So when I think about indigenous teachings, especially from the places that I'm from, I'm thinking about the symbols and the messages that are encoded in everything around us, and how to open our eyes and open our ears to listen to that. Even though some people don't have the access to be in nature at any moment, to remember that our bodies are nature. Our bodies are made of nature. And we can find nature anywhere, even on a tree, in the city, or even in the grass, and just sitting there and remembering that we are land and that we are connecting to land.
In my tapestry, Unnōjhamáonk, which means the wilds and the fields, I use patterns that references the siapo, which I reprocessed different paintings of mine and then also different traditional siapo, and I kind of played with AI and printed it on cloth and then sewed it together and used ink to kind of give it some color. And so it's basically this tradition of siapo. We had weaving with pandanus, leaves, and then we had a sort of malleable cloth called bark cloth. And this bark cloth had sort of a printing process where we would make, we would weave coconut fibers into a relief, and then we would print on there the bark cloth, and then from these abstract patterns, which we call longo, which means it's abstract but it has a meaning. It's like something between an abstraction and a form of writing, and it has sort of symbolic or suggestive meaning. And so from that we would make siapo, which is a printed bark cloth with mamanu, which is painting on it. And when I was a child in Samoa, I would hang out with my grandmother, Sisipeni, and my great-grandmother, Fasapa. And I would go to the trees and I would gather the red dye that dripped from a tree. We had these kind of tin lacquer bowls, and we would gather this dye. So that was like my job when I was like 6 years old. When I made this piece, I think of my grandmother Sisipeni and my great grandmother Fasapa, and how they used to make siapo. I've utilized this practice in my abstract paintings, which I have done occasionally, and now I'm working on pieces on cloth, and so I often think of them and of my childhood, and it's interesting that I've kind of come full circle and returning to really the first artistic practice I ever engaged in.
Certamente masih punya pun ya digim certamente certamente ini cha punya ya nanti ngodo punya karena tu lebih yang mana itu yung ana miru kan dia
Kita dulu.
Magnetic, ini mana mauna ini mauna jika tasau ini jadi ini ya nanti dia macam ini terem tasau terem badau na ya nanti dia macam ya itu ini ciri dia mana tak ada damai
Ini ba?
ini mana
Ini.
mereka maya
Oke, ampu.
jadi mana usahkan boleh semua masih cerita mas ke ngada lihat York ya punya York genca tadi bila mana tadi bila genci tadi bila tu nyanda cerita manusia pun cerita tangga ni semua orang ini yang mana itu kau ingin ciri ini muda mah kau yang nak usul saat mah hal kau kena macam kau kena dari kau kena kau ya kena jadi mana kan mana itu ada beti dikisirun ni siapa dia tu yang dah tiup lah pihak siapa ni lepas itu par ni dekat kita asal kita ni ni lah nak diarap betul kita lah nak waringat diarap sesuatu kita wada share macam lahada kecemgiri ya tu dia. Mana ni orang malam ni lah. Jadi nak share. Jadi nak share ini saya. Ya. Dekat kita mana yang jingkum mana kita membuat malam dia kemana share dia cari saya. Oh share ini dia yang jingkum dia letempa ni udara yang jingkum. So yang tengok ni yang bangko. Yang bangko na share ini pun. Macam kata muda tu saya. Ada kata kita mencukupi ni malam dia apa. Itu Allah hati yeru ni cai lam malapkan dia. Allah nak kuisu dia apa? Hey malapkan dia. Tadi bi kurkari. Tadi bi ni cai masalah saya. Itu ni malapkan dia mah. Yer. Tadi bi ni cai nyari ni danya. Yer dengan danya. Yer pada yang kenapa? Afrika ni dekat. Asal lu kenapa?
Bisa masih.
Ini aman motor pada mesin dia. Wah bersawangnya itu. Wah ni dong motor dia. Tapi wah bersawangnya anda itu.
Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo.
Way out, way out, way out, way out, way out. Way out, 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 way out.